Hello there, this is a track breakdown that absolutely zero people have asked for, but I'm in the mood to waffle about music to an audience of zero people at the moment, so I'm just going to do a track breakdown of this track called Awake, which will be out by the time this video is out. I'm recording this a couple of days before I'm posting the little EP that it's part of, but I just thought this was one of the tracks I've had the most fun kind of listening to whilst making, and it came together really, really quickly, and it's really, really simple, and kind of just based around resampling one splice sound and layering that with a bit of piano and some really simple bass and synth sounds. That's kind of it, all there is to it. So the kind of main element of this, which is the thing I started with, was I found a sample on Splice. I was kind of playing piano a lot, and I was thinking, made a few tracks where I'd kind of just played in piano and then tried to sample my own playing sort of immediately afterwards. And I was like, I'm just going to start with something someone else has done. So I'll find sample on Splice of kind of really nice, warm sounding acoustic piano, and I'll see if I can chop that up and make something kind of housey out of that. So this is the sound, so I'll play that. So if we play this at original BPM, which is this, and original pitch, so it sounds like this. And it was pitched up by 2, and the track is written in 120 BPM instead of 100, so it's faster. So that's what it sounds like organically. And I dragged this into a SliceX, which is the FL sampler, and kind of dragged the markers around to the kind of obvious points, and then just messed around. And when you're composing in a sampler, obviously, it's not like composing with MIDI. Kind of just spam pressing all of the different samples until you kind of stumble across something that sounds cool. And so the thing that I ended up stumbling across was this pattern here. That's that. That's the sound that plays during the first verse, and there's an extended version of that which sounds like this. So the second part of that plays in the drop is just the same thing. There's a couple of glitch variations added in, I think. That little stop section where it's not playing. Random pitch up just to add some variation, stop it being completely monotonous, because it's already quite repetitive. So that was that, and that runs basically through the whole track, unless there's like the middle, like the very start and the middle and the end where there's the original sample playing. So that's kind of the foundation, and then having put that in the verse, there's kind of 2 ways of going with it. It was either like bury this in the mix, just an absolute foundation, and then layer loads of sort of synth sounds on top and make it really kind of bright and very electronic, or it was kind of just extend that and build on the organic layers. And so I kind of had this looping, and I was just playing my own piano kind of piece on top very slowly and kind of against the rhythm of the very repetitive sample that I'd made, kind of just adding to the depth of the melody. So we added this on top. So that's, as you can see, completely unquantized. I just played that in a couple of times until it felt right, and I just left it there. And that's entirely it. And that fades out. There's a little bit of a low cut happening on the sample, just to kind of transition slightly, but I didn't want to put a big build up in. This is also going to be like a kind of 3-2-1 kind of drop hits type thing. It's going to be kind of a release, almost not building up, but actually just releasing down into a kind of shuffling house beat, and then just continuing that organic layer on, so we've got a kind of very subtle sub hit in the background as a fill, and that's literally it. And then we're into, which we've layered with the same sound again. And obviously side shading throughout all of this, so on the sample has that bounce to it. Then we've got this sound here, which I've just randomly recolored, like that. Thank you. Background sort of string kind of drone sound roughly follows the movement of the chords, using Labs, which is actually excellent free string sound. Quite processed, this one. Originally sounds like what actually happened with it is we've put on the compression. The organic sound of it was kind of panned left, kind of naturally. So I've sort of monoed that. Bit of saturation, little bit of kind of movement to it. So it's kind of got a ducking movement on it, a bit of volume alpha on it, very subtle. Probably not even worth doing. And then sort of adding in kind of programmed panning back and forth just to create a bit of movement. So to stop the entire thing being completely mono. And so that layers in with these sounds. And then introducing this lead, which is louder in the second drop than it is in the first drop, or it's louder in the sense that it's filtered, so it's kind of, certainly at the beginning of the first drop, basically a background layer as well. This was also just played in as well, whilst the track was looping, and I saved this particular version of it. Layer with a sub, and then all together that is the instrumental, the instruments. Add on a simple beat, pretty safe, kind of not over the top kick, bit of punch in there, but not overpowering, hopefully, and then shuffling hat loop, standard hat pattern, a kind of soft shaker kind of thing, so it's not too clicky, not too many transients. I wanted it to be kind of very mellow, very soft kind of percussion, still pretty default clap. Nothing interesting going on here at all, really. And then a noise loop. That is the sum total of the drums. That's the sum total of the track, really, and then we're out of the drop into a slightly louder version of the same thing we had in the verse. I've mellowed the kick slightly, so we've gone from to a bit less sub and a bit more saturation, a bit more transients. It's a little more clicky and a little less boomy than it is in the drop. Otherwise, you'd kind of be a bit too much of a kick just for some piano. Then we're out of that and we're into another piano accompaniment, which I did variation. And we've layered that with strings, but basically a clone of the previous string sound, but I've less processed and more organic sounding. So, and I also just kind of manually automated the volume coming into some of the chord hits, so that it's a bit slower and there's less attack on it. And then out of that back into the sample, just impact it, reintroduce the lead sound, very subtle snare build up, And then I've got this kind of chop variation happening. The first half of the second drop sounds like this. Play it with the sidechain because it sounds weird without sidechaining. Kind of just adding an extra kind of offbeat note, just extra syncopation, so it kind of feels like even more kind of choppy than it did in the first instance. And the only other variation was this kind of stutter thing. I really like how that works with the sub bass. Kind of lead off, and we're back into the normal pattern. Lead comes back in, lead stays in the whole drop at the same level, so we exit the build up at this level of filter and we just stay it. And then obviously in the second half both drops needed a little bit more of something, so basically fairly close to a completely default init preset, just init patch, just bit of extra rhythm in the background basically to keep things interesting. And then out of that, kept the lead sound, contemplated filtering it down more, but actually kind of just like the dirtiness of it, sort of out of place as an outro, but with sample and then just little outro thing, filtered version of the drop, a bit of kind of lead fill, and there we go, reverbed out. Took me about an hour, pretty basic, not revolutionary, quite enjoyed it though, so there we go. There is a breakdown of Awake. Cheers.